You're listening to Wanderlust Diaries, the ultimate travel podcast for solo female travellers 40 and beyond who are ready to explore the world. Join me, Terry Reynolds, where we talk all things travel and why it's so important and what's stopping you from getting out there and exploring the world. We'll discuss the steps you can take now to fix it, empowering you to ignite your curiosity and set your heart free so that you have the confidence to travel wherever you want, whenever you want. Offering insights, tips, hacks, and remarkable women's stories along the way. So come on, grab your passport, pack your sense of adventure, and get ready to be inspired. Whether you're a first-time solo traveller or a seasoned globetrotter, Wanderlust Diaries is your community of like-minded souls, uplifting and supporting women over 40 who dare to explore. I have a guest with me who is going to tell us how she travels solo in a van with her greyhounds in tow most of the time. She also volunteers with sad animals, plus a whole lot more. Today I'm joined by Rowena Hicks, a property entrepreneur. So welcome, Rowena, and thanks for coming on today. I'm intrigued why, what you do, why you do what you do. So tell us a little bit about you before we get into it.
Okay, excellent. Well, first of all, let me just apologise that my camera is slightly on the wonk. I'm actually at a hotel in Birmingham at the moment, and I'm just being resourceful and balancing the phone on the plugs, but the curve's on even, so this is the best I could do, though, so I do apologise for that.
All good.
Okay, yeah, so I've been investing in property since around 2013. And through that, I've managed to create a residual income source, which means that I can go off and I can travel the world, and I do a lot of volunteering with, as you say, sad animals, because that is my absolute passion, helping sad animals to become happy ones, if that makes sense. And as you said, I travel with my greyhounds. They're both rescues, and when I met them both, they were incredibly sad, but I have an absolute passion for helping sad animals become happy ones. And yeah, if anyone ever gets to meet my greyhounds, they are an absolute testament to that, I believe. So yes.
Oh, I love all of that. So, okay, that's great to know that. So give us a bit more in depth. I mean, why? What was attracted you to greyhounds in the first place, I suppose? You know, obviously got a specific type of dog. So how come you got into in them?
Oh goodness, well, that's a long story. Have you got a lot of time?
Shorten it a bit.
Yeah, well, my first business, so that was a, believe it or not, construction health and safety and training business. So I started that up, and the first thing I wanted to do was rescue a dog. And along come this dog, and I remember like phoning up the rescue centre, Dogs Friends, who I highly recommend in Bristol, or they're more sort of in Priddy, but near Bristol. But yeah, the volunteers there, Diane and Pete, they brought a dog to the door, and I just opened the door, and I was just like, oh my God, I love them so much already. And then my main concern was, are they going to eat my rescue chickens? So we went up the garden, but she didn't take any notice the chicken. She just like looking at me with these big loving eyes. So I decided to adopt her, and I absolutely, and then I couldn't stop crying about what could have happened to her, because she was found in a flat with her basically deceased owner with another dog. She was so fat, overweight, unsocialized, and it was just such a sad story. So I was like, oh, what can I do to help? And that's when I started fostering.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that, isn't it, to go down that road. So you have, how many dogs do you have now?
I have two greyhounds. So the reason I've kind of settled on greyhounds is because they are just graceful. They are easy to look after. They are just so loving and affectionate. They're sensitive. And my favourite ones are the ones who are unraced. Perhaps they were too scared or slow to race. So you just get these dogs, and they literally do not know how to be dogs. And then so you just have to help them realize that the world isn't such a scary place. And there's also practical reasons as well. So traveling around in a van, you know, people often think maybe smaller dogs would be better, but actually they do flat pack rather well. And there's benefits that they've got such long legs that when they're walking through mud, it's not splashing up on their belly. And
Yeah.
and they're short hair as well. And you can just take them anywhere, and they will. Obviously, they're used to my lifestyle, which is sort of, you know, going here, there, and everywhere. But you take them in for a restaurant, for example, and they'll just lie on the floor and just be really, really good. And yeah,
Excellent. I mean, that's what you need, isn't it? Especially when you've got two dogs, you know, you need to know that they're going to be well mannered, let's say,
exactly.
when
Yeah.
you take them out. So, where do you actually go then when you're traveling with them? Where do you go? Is it just the UK, or do you go abroad as well?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we've done plenty in the UK, but the furthest we've got to is Malaga at the moment. So yeah, I was actually doing some house sitting in Ireland for some greyhounds, because that's another thing I love to do. It's a great way to travel for free. Um,
Yeah, amazing.
Basically you
I
just
need to know. Yes, we need to know more about that as well. Yeah.
yes, exactly. And sometimes you can even get paid for it, which is even better. But yeah, going back to that. So yeah, house sitting in Ireland, and then I just happened to go to the dog charity, the greyhound charity, which don't normally rehome to the general public. And the lady took three dogs out. This was at Clare Greyhound Sanctuary. A lovely lady called Petra. So she brought three dogs out. One was barking, so I thought I can't really have a dog that barks. Yeah, sadly. But another one was all over me, and she was just so loving and beautiful. And the woman was just like, "What is going on?" Because she really hates people, but she's really taken a shine to you. And I was like, "Oh, I love her." But I've got lots of other like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Be.
I was, yeah. She was kind of all over me, but I was just like, look, I'd love to have her. Please let me have her. Please let me send you some references and, you know, all of that. And basically we arranged that I could come back in that August to come and collect her, because I had a lot of other house sitting and I just wanted to give her some stability. But then the next part of the story, so we went over, got her. She was there for 6 weeks, and then we embarked on a little holiday to so I drove through France, and then I drove all the way down to Grenada, where I volunteered at a horse sanctuary called Positive Horse Training, with some lovely ladies there. I was helping them with a course that they were running, which they teach horses how to respond to positive training methods, and the ladies there are so clever.
I mean, that's amazing to go that far, especially with two dogs.
Yeah.
And what are the logistics there then? You know, is it you'll drive for so many hours and then you'll stop, give them a break?
Yes, well, that's the good thing about greyhounds. They will sleep all day. They will sleep anywhere. However, yeah, so the first couple of days I was like absolutely caning it with the driving, because I just wanted to get there as quick as possible. But I realised actually I want to stop and have a look around some places, and also the road that went from like France down the left hand side to Bilbao. It was raining. It was chucking it down with rain. Sorry. The speed limit, what I realised was French lorry drivers do not stick to the speed limit. All this spray coming up, and it was really, really scary. I must admit, I would say that I'm a really confident driver, but it was scary. And after that, I actually managed to pitch up a 10 when we got to Bilbao, and it shucked it down with rain that night. If you would think of like camping in the rain in England, wouldn't you? But not in. Yeah. So that was funny. And after that, I just decided I'm going to just drive like 3 or 4 hours a day. I'm going to take it easy. I had permission from Claire Waldron at Positive Horse Training, but that was probably a good idea. So therefore I just stayed there. I did a bit of the what do you call it? The the big long pilgrimage path.
Was that?
Yes, that's it. Yes. So we did a bit of that, ran around on the beach, and it was just lovely. So yeah, in answer to your question, yeah, I did try and do long trips, but I just thought like long stints of driving. But it was just like, no, I actually just want to slow down the pace a bit and just enjoy being in the present moment.
See a bit of the scenery yourself. And how did so finding, I suppose, somewhere to stop where you knew it would be dog friendly, is that something you've already researched, ready for a trip, or did you kind of just look for places along the way?
Okay, so down to Spain, the first bit I actually pre-booked places, so I had booked campsites, and I'm just trying to remember now. Yeah, the first few nights I was in an Airbnb, but Airbnb is just so easy to check. You know, even if it's written in a different language, they do always translate it, and the filter is, are you dog friendly? And then I always just type a message just saying, is this okay? I've got 2 of them and they're well behaved, you know, they sit in their beds and you know, short hair, you know, not muddy, you know, that kind of thing. And generally it was very, very easy to find somewhere to stay. I must admit, I didn't actually sleep in my van on the side of the road. I'm not quite that brave, and I think when I was on my own, it was better just to spend money to make sure that I was safe and secure, rather than, you know, just not spend the money and risk anything happening. But I do know a lot of people who are quite happy just sit in their sleep in their cars. So it was very, very easy, and we stayed in some fantastic places. Absolutely, like everything. What do you call them? The shipping containers. We stayed in this weird place near Madrid. This was funny. So we got there, and the children, they just absolutely loved seeing an English person, because they've never actually met an English person before, and they were practicing all their English on me, and it was just super cute. So I made sure I left them a review saying that their English was very good, and they were to tell their English teacher. But when I walked in there, it was just like, this is weird. And she's like, oh, what bed do you want to sleep in? And I was just like, oh, the biggest. And she showed me into the room, and the story was basically her parents had passed away, but it honestly looked like they hadn't taken anything out of the house. And I'm like, this place feels haunted. There's still food in the fridge and food in the freezer, and I was actually a little bit like on edge there. So I did sleep in the lounge, but honestly it felt so haunted.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it did, but it was
How long were you
fine.
there for? How many nights?
Oh, it was only the one night there, funnily enough.
What were the dogs like with it? Did they sense anything? Because they say that dogs can sense these things.
Oh, they absolutely can sense them, but I didn't see anything. But I know in my first house, this is when I had my first dog with a second dog. They used to sit there and go like this together as something going across the room.
Moved across the room.
Exactly. I couldn't see anything, but there was definitely something there. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, so interesting now.
Yeah.
No, finding something like that as well, off the beaten track, as it were. You know?
Yeah, it was random.
Yeah.
And then it was also a Sunday as well, and of course they don't open the shops on Sunday. The only place to find some food was at the petrol station.
Oh right. Oh.
Yes, that's one thing about Spain people have got to be aware of, that, you know, if you're in the middle of nowhere, the shops are not going to be open.
No, make sure that you're well stocked, that you have your and whatever it is you need. I suppose let's talk about the dogs a second then. I suppose for them, you would have, is it just you've got the food already in your van, and they're probably all right, aren't they? You won't going to worry about food.
On that occasion they did, but I must admit, I mean, in the supermarkets, it's not like England where all the, you know, we don't really sell things like offal and weird things like that for dogs, or bones. I know they do in Morrison's, and I like to give them something a bit more natural. I don't really eat meat myself, but abroad you can get things that are more suitable for dogs, let's put it that way, in the supermarket. So they do. They were very, very delighted to be eating, you know, bones and weird bits of animal and, you know, all of that. But I think occasion I did just have normal dog food, and I had some food because that's why my one big thing in life is always having enough food.
Yes.
Yeah,
I used to do that when I was traveling. I made sure that if I knew I was going off for a long drive, like especially through Australia or something,
yeah,
on the map it looks like, it's not far away, but it could be days. I'd always have like a trail mix or something like that in
yeah,
my bag anyway, just to make sure that I've got something
yeah,
snack on to keep you going. So that's a really good thing to do, isn't it? Just make sure you've got some water, a water bottle. I always had a water bottle,
yeah,
trail mix or something similar, so that if we weren't stopping for a while, I knew I had something to snack on just to keep me.
yes, exactly, yes,
So you need to do that. Great. Well, okay. So, I mean, this is not something that everybody does, go off traveling around Europe with their dogs in a van.
yeah.
So have you got any, so for our listeners, anybody who's listening to this, who really wants to do this and they haven't, what kind of prep can you prep, I suppose, tips on prep that they can take away that it's the first time they're doing it? What kind of tips can you give them?
So are you meaning traveling around in a van with 2 dogs?
Say that again?
Are you meaning tips for people who?
Yes.
Okay, right, yeah, I've got plenty of tips.
Yeah.
So if you're traveling with dogs, okay, what you need to do is get prepared at least 3 months before for actually taking the dogs, because they will need their rabies vaccination. And if they do not have an EU passport, you need to get what's known as an animal health certificate. So that is, you need your rabies jabs. So I think that's why you need 3 months, because they have it, and then they have like a booster 3 months later, and then they're covered. I believe, don't take my word for that, always look on the government website for the official, or phone up your vet. But I used Zetland Vets in Fish Ponds in Bristol, a lovely vet called Besley there, and he filled out all the paperwork. That cost about 130 quid per dog. However,
Okay.
so I know this from going from Ireland. When I went to Ireland, they and also I knew it anyway because Leslie told me. But if you get your dog on the animal health certificate to an EU country, all you need to do is book an appointment with a vet over there, and as long as you can give them an EU address, then they will issue you your dog an EU passport, which means that as long as you so I think I spent about €60 doing that for Teddy. Phoebe already was Irish, so she came with her EU passport, but that will save you roughly £130 every time you travel with your dog, because they've now got a passport. So that's
a great piece of advice.
Yeah,
that's a brilliant piece of advice, that is. So like you say, start the prep 3 months before you're about to go.
yeah.
Okay, anything else that they
Yeah, so just be aware when you come back, you also need to book into a vet and worm them as well. But it's more often than not, you can email the vet to book an appointment in, because it has to be done between a certain time period before you actually enter the UK.
Okay.
So you need to read up on the rules of that. Also, if you're traveling on a ferry, the dog needs a muzzle as well.
Right.
I booked a cabin, so just get the muzzle trained and used to that. It looks horrible, I know, but you can see why people do it. It's in that small confined area, no one wants to miss that, so they can't risk it.
It is understandable, but being like it just said, the fact of being forewarned about that. I mean, I don't have dogs or anything, so I wouldn't have a flipping clue. But there may be some people listening to this who didn't have a clue about that either. So that's another piece of great information there. Okay, what about carrying things in the van then? I mean, I'm
okay. Yeah.
About your van. I mean, some people might be just going in their car. They're going on holiday and they're taking their dogs with them in their car. They might have, an SUV or whatever. So it might not just be a van. It might be a large vehicle that they're taking with their dogs in. So having that, like, would you take a large container of water in?
Absolutely. Always have water. Just recycle normal, bottles. Have that in there. The other thing need to be aware of is whatever country you're going to, there might be EU restrictions on meat products. So you might go online and buy like vegan dog food, which might, they quite happily ate it.
Yeah.
So you just need to be aware of that, because you don't want to get stopped and fined for bringing in illegal produce. But to be honest, when the countries I was going in, like France and Spain, there were supermarkets absolutely everywhere, and there was always a Lidl.
Oh yeah,
Always a little. Yeah. So, it's kind of like a comfort zone thing, isn't it? But I tell you what, all the Lidls abroad, the food tastes so much better than it does in England. So although you're still going to a Lidl, it is better food. But that is just like a comfort, sort of like comfort zone thing until you might feel a bit more brave to go into other supermarkets.
No, like, and trust elements is next to your name and the brands of that. Yeah, so
exactly.
That's great. So that's great. There's a lot of prep there, and there's quite a few tips there for people to take on board. And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's all about research, isn't it? Just go on and research anyway. Whichever country you're going into, wherever you're going, just research where it is you're going and make sure you've got all the correct the jabs for the dogs, and all the, like you said, about the food as well. Some of these countries, they don't accept meat, so that's great. Have you got any like funny stories you can tell us?
Oh, funny stories,
or anything that kind of stands out for you, whilst you've been traveling with the dogs?
Oh my goodness, I do. Well, I have plenty of funny stories, but when you say about funny stories, let me tell you about this. Oh, I don't know where to start with this one. I did some 10 days at a place called the Freedom Farm in northern Spain, near a place called Caspe. It was up in the mountains, and two lovely gentlemen live up there with their goats and their chickens and their guinea pigs, and they live all off grid. So I volunteered to go up there, and they were like, we have no shops around, just bring enough food. So I am absolutely rubbish at being able to sort of budget food, if that makes sense. So I bought far too much. There's probably still some in my cupboards right now. So that's a bit of a challenge. And also not having phone signal. But it was a fantastic experience. But this is the worst part. So if you think about getting stuck in the mud, or being in a tent in a thunderstorm, where do you think that's going to happen?
Oh God, I don't know.
Wow, the place where it happened to me was northern Spain, in the mountains. Bearing in mind, for the whole entire week, I had to be really, really conservative with my water. I had to wash myself in it, because I had a dual shower. They're amazing, with a pump. I had to do my washing up with it and wash my clothes, not in that order, by the way. But yeah, so I had to be so conservative with the water. Every time you had a shower as well, wasps would just come from everywhere. So yeah, be careful with wasps in Spain, because they don't really tell you about that. But on the last day, we just heard this rumble, and oh my goodness, it rained and it rained and it rained. And my tent, where we were on the slopes of the almond and olive trees, they sort of put them on terraces. And where I was camped, because I had my big tent out as well as my van, my tent was in a river.
Oh,
it was awful. Oh my goodness.
Oh
my goodness. Yeah, it was awful. It was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to cry. I probably did cry. But yeah, everything in it was sopping wet. We were all like soaked. The dogs are in the van, so they're quite happy because they've got their little compartment in there. But yeah, I had to sleep in the van that night. Had to wear wellies to even get into it, because there was no way the van was going to be moved. And then when the water did subside, I literally got the tent and put it over one of the terraces, tipped all the water out, tried to get it as dry as possible.
Oh gosh.
Then realised the car was stuck, so I had to wait there another night for a gentleman to come up and literally pull me out with his like, you know, big car, like tractor, like yeah, oh my goodness, yeah. And yeah, there's still to this day mud in the van from that
Oh,
experience.
oh
Yes.
oh, that'd be
Oh,
very
yes.
interesting, wouldn't it? If anything's going to turn you off doing that again, something
Yeah.
like that would, wouldn't it?
It would. Oh yeah. Oh my God. And you just reminded me of something else. Another top tip: always, always, always trust. If you're going somewhere, trust the person's directions. Do not always rely on your sat nav, because I was.
Oh, what happened?
I had a little bit of a break from my horse volunteering, so I went and booked myself into this lovely like retreat place. I think it's like an old Buddhist temple up in the mountains. So I was just like, oh, okay, I'll just ignore these directions, go with the sat nav. But oh my goodness, it was like off road. That's fine. I was like, I can do this in my like Peugeot Expert X Bristol water van. La di da di da. Oh my goodness, the roads got narrower and narrower and more like that. And I was just like, there's absolutely no way I'm gonna make this.
Oh,
I'm
no.
terrified of heights.
Oh,
Absolutely terrified. And there was like a sheer drop that side. A sheer drop by the time I was just like, oh, okay, there's absolutely no way I can do this. But I'm so grateful that, but when I was younger, I used to only ever drive old bangers without any power steering.
oh, yes.
Because those skills, I believe, saved my life.
Oh gosh. Oh my God.
I had to reverse back. So this is a question of move back an inch, slide 2.
Oh,
Or half an hour. I was like that. Now, I am not religious, but I was praying.
I bet.
Was like, please, if I fall off this cliff, no one was going to know, because like the cliff is so far down. It was absolutely terrifying.
Wow. Oh my
Oh,
God.
goodness.
Scary.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt.
Reverse all the way back, wouldn't you?
Sorry?
You'd have had to have reversed all the way back down.
Exactly. Yeah, there was a turning space about half an hour later, but yeah, there's a video of me like going, "Oh my God, I've just come from there," but you cannot see you can't see
Wow.
the scale of the sort of emergency situation.
Yeah.
But after that, I felt actually driving on a cliff edge is absolutely fine as long as you're on a main, on a road.
Take that when it is.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that would be my advice.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was really scary.
Yeah, no, amazing. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely test your skills, wouldn't it? And
Absolutely.
if anything, if anything, it would just turn you off doing anything again, wouldn't it? So
Yeah. Oh yes, I was so scared.
oh my gosh. And I suppose the dogs were in the back asleep. No.
Oh yeah, they didn't care.
Yeah.
No.
Really?
So yeah. But I had ordered the log-fired hot tub up there.
Oh,
When I actually got to the place, when I went the right way around, so that was lovely. But yeah, very interesting place to stay actually up there. I've got another funny story about this if we've got time. But yeah, there was this so it was these guys that run the place, and they were doing what's called a workaway. So they weren't getting paid to go and live in these mountains, but and they had to do a lot of work up there. I wouldn't want them to do it, but I just thought, oh, that's an interesting way to sort of travel and work, even though you're not getting paid for it. Yeah. So that was quite interesting. I think there was like a French lady and a couple of German guys up there. And then suddenly this guy from the Netherlands turned up, and yeah, he was really funny. And then like he was just like, "Oh, do we have to wear clothes when we go for a swim in the pool?" I was like, "Oh, of course, that's a cultural thing, isn't it? Because us English are pretty reserved, where in the Netherlands they're not quite so reserved. But it was to say, you or me, I have absolutely
used to it, are we? We're not used to it, are we?
No.
It's not something that we do naturally. I've just come back from Gran Canaria and walking along the beach, and I didn't realise it was the nudist beach as well. Yeah, there's just men around. I'm like, oh right, okay then, but you know,
Yeah.
they just take it. It's just all comes so naturally to them, you know.
Yeah.
Didn't
Exactly. Yeah.
there were no signs or anything, but like it's just a bit of a we don't do that in Britain.
No, isn't it? Isn't it? Like this
They
is
are wandering around, you know, free. I feeling really free. I would have thought.
yes, exactly. I don't know whether you did go for a swim or not, but I certainly didn't follow into the pool. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And how long did you stay there?
Oh, that was only a couple of nights in that place. So yeah, so that was all right. I must admit,
were you going on to somewhere from there?
No, I went back to the horse sanctuary. That's
yeah.
I did make sure. The first night didn't. The door wasn't locked, but I thought I was perfectly safe. But the second night, I did sort of hint that I didn't have a key because there was this like guy. He was hilarious, but he was like, I thought he was trying to, you know, trap me up or something. And on like cooking this like romantic meal for us, and I like absolutely hilarious. But yeah, I did manage to get a key to like, you know, lock him out in case he had any funny ideas.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you've got some brilliant stories. You could probably talk for hours around all the things that you do. But I'd like you to be able to, how do you link this with, you know, because you are a property entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How does this kind of marry up with the traveling side of things?
Okay. Excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, I got into property because I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Cash Flow Quadrant. Now that explained the difference between swapping your time for money and investing so your money makes more money. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, and then I read a book called The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, and I was like, aha, this is what I want my life to be like. He talks about this residual income thing, which is where you're not swapping your time for money. You just have assets that cash flow. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And what he talks about is going on like 3-month mini retirements and going and living somewhere, living like a local, you know, so it's not expensive, but experiencing all that culture.
Love it.
So that's amazing. So with the property, so at the moment I'm doing a strategy called serviced accommodation, where I have got a property manager, and he is absolutely awesome, by the way. And so he manages it as service accommodation, which means that I rent the property, which you can also pay him to. And now these are just ex-council houses that I've got in Bristol. But yeah, so he preps it, and then then he just manages it. So he manages the cleaning, and we basically have guests. So we don't have tenants, we have guests, if that makes sense. So they're paying like almost a hotel wage. They're happy because they're getting a whole space rather than having to just stay in a hotel room like I am. You know, I can't cook here. There's no sofa or anything. It gets a bit drab, doesn't it? Where if you're staying in a house with your work colleagues or whatever, you've got the outside space, you can cook. You know, it feels a bit more home from home. So that's what I do. So he manages it. I just get that money in my bank account every single month. The guests are happy. Happy, and I absolutely don't have to worry about a thing. So it's great. I have contractors a lot of the time in my properties, but also I just feel so blessed at the moment as well, because I'm actually helping some refugees in them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was really interesting, going and talking to them. So the gentleman, he's learning English, so I won't go into their backstory of what they've done. Yeah, he's learning English, so I can speak with him. But the wife, she doesn't speak a lot of English, but it's great because I can use Google Translate to talk with her. Yeah. Although she can't talk back because her language, she doesn't have the letters on the keypad.
Yes, yeah.
But it's just lovely because I've got to learn a little bit more about, you know, where they're from and
culture and
culture.
And is it just the UK you have property in? Well, we know a bit, or you
Yeah, it's, although I would absolutely love holiday homes everywhere.
Yeah.
But really, I think the UK is a great place to invest. And I know a lot of investors from overseas who do invest in the UK because it's an island, okay, not building enough housing stock.
Yeah.
So the rental demand is always going to be there.
Yes. Yeah.
And although there are certain things that the government have brought in, which means you're not making enough money. If you can keep one step ahead of the game, you can definitely still make money in property and help people at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And so that's something you'd like to get into, is property abroad. So, fingers crossed,
Yes.
you will eventually. I'm sure you will eventually. And so what about, have you got any trips planned coming up, that you're going abroad or you're going anywhere? Have you got anything booked up already?
Yes. Do you know what? I don't have very many. I'm more of a sporadic trip person. However, I've actually been invited over to Amsterdam to do a speech at a couple of their property investor network meetings. I know quite a few Dutch investors, not the gentleman that I met by the swimming pool, just to add that.
Yeah.
But then also I saw this post on Facebook where a lady is looking for volunteers down in Italy to work at her dog and her horse sanctuary. And I'm like,
oh,
wow,
boxes for that, don't you?
Yes, exactly. And I contacted her with all my experience.
Yeah.
And I said to her, can I go out horse riding with my greyhounds? And she's like, oh yeah, we do that every day. Our dogs come out with. I'm like,
oh God,
wow. Yeah, so I thought about combining the business trip over to Amsterdam and then driving down to Italy because I need to.
And of course, you take your dogs.
Yeah.
With you.
Oh, with me. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that.
Fantastic. That's really that's brilliant. And how long will you be away for altogether?
Well, I would love to be away for the whole 180 days I can be away for.
Yeah.
What do you call it? The Schengen, I can never say the word, Schengen zone. You know what I'm saying? Where us as with Brexit, we can only say 180 days.
Oh, yes.
360, which I believe is quite generous, actually. 3 months out of a 6-month period EU is still, I believe, very generous.
Yeah, no, it's still a decent amount of time, isn't it?
Yeah. So I would like to think 2 months abroad, depending on what I do in the summer. But I do a lot of gate crashing or friends sort of holidays as well.
Yeah.
What I really want, I love my van. It's an ex-Bristol water van. But it is probably more practical for me to get a bigger vehicle where I do feel safe and secure in it, say part overnight.
Yeah.
Where and then I'd love to go and explore Wales a bit more because I think Wales is beautiful.
I can definitely help you with Wales, as I'm,
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Quite weird to go in that. So what I'd like now, Rowena, if you wouldn't mind, is for all those ladies out there who are thinking of doing what you're doing, they want to jump into their vehicle with their pets. Can you give them some hints and tips of how they can set themselves up? To go on there, especially those who are looking for the first time, and they've not done this before. What kind of 3 solid tips could you give them?
Oh, okay. Well, I think number 1 is your personal security. I would say with that, I always let my dad know where I was. I had 2 phones with me, both which with different sorts of SIM cards as well. So if one wasn't going to work, the other one wasn't going to work. I always had full battery chargers with the phones as well. But to be honest, I mean, a lot of people worry about going abroad and the security of it and all that, but it's just like traveling around the UK. really. Obviously, it's different driving on the wrong side of the road. However, it's actually, I found it easy because there's not so much traffic.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. Okay. Yeah. And I suppose for the first time that you do that, it's always going to be a bit, you know,
yeah.
you always have a bit of anxiety, I would have thought. 'Cause it's the first time you do anything. It's always a bit,
Oh,
anxiety,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
But I'm sure once you've done it once,
yeah,
great for you. Yes, I've done it. I can do that. I can do that again. So
yeah,
great. Okay. So there's the safety aspect there then.
yeah. Absolutely. Just don't do anything you wouldn't do
Yeah.
normally, like, walk around in the dark on your own. I also stayed away from alcohol
Yeah.
because, sometimes it can get easy to have one drink and then get chatting to someone and, just, cross that boundary of being in control. So I didn't do that. I didn't really go into cities or built up areas apart from, I can't say it properly, but Valencia.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So the reason for that is it can make me feel a little bit worried.
Yeah.
And also my dog Phoebe the Phoenix, she is not quite so keen on large groups of people. So yeah, we just kind of stayed away from that. But I never felt threatened. But it's just like, being a woman, it's just like the normal sort of.
Suppose it's just usually common sense, isn't it? And like
Yeah.
whatever you would do at home for your own security, you would do the same thing
Yeah.
while you're away. And I suppose they will know, anybody listening to them, they will know their own animals, and how, what they can travel like, and the places to go with them. Great. Okay. Anything else that you think that they should know before they set off?
I would say absolutely connect with and talk to other people who have done it before, because they will give you the confidence that you can do this. There was absolutely no way that even probably 15 years ago I would have dreamt of doing it, because it all just seems so scary and just impossible and only for the brave. However, it was when I met my friend from South Africa, and he travels absolutely everywhere. He's obviously a male, but I was like, wow, I'd love to do that. And then I met my friend Marcy, who would like to be interviewed on here too. Now, she waited until she was 32 to go and travel the world, because she was always waiting for someone to go with, and then she thought, I'm just going to go and do it. And
I was 39 when I did it, so it's never too late. You don't have to be really young.
no,
It's horses for courses. I think it's when the time is right for you, and as
Yeah.
long as there's always a bit of fear around doing something the first time.
yeah,
But once you've done it, and it takes that build up. And I think you're right with the, I didn't have Facebook groups and that kind of thing, when I did it back in the day. But that's the beauty of social media now, is that there are Facebook groups in the country that you want to go to, the area you want to go to, all of that type of thing, isn't it? And you can connect with people that way too.
Yes, exactly. And that will just build up. I mean, there's a saying, isn't there, about who you surround yourself with, is who you will, be like. So surround yourself with women who have already done this type of thing, and it will absolutely boost your confidence. And now with mobile phones, it's so easy to keep in contact with people. Also, if driving's a concern, my top tip is always use a sat nav, because it tells you how to go around a roundabout.
Yes.
Does that make sense? So even just taking that little bit of stress away.
Yeah, because like at home, we're just so used to going our way, aren't we? When you get to a roundabout, then it's like you would automatically want to go the way you always go. So
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, would be really, really useful. And also, I think even in this country with sat navs, I think it's really helpful. I'll put wherever I'm going, just to see what traffic's like. Because it'll tell you, the red spots and all the rest of it. So it's really useful for that. And if you're driving in the dark, it's quite useful as well. Because if you don't have the road and it's not well lit, then sat nav is showing you where the road is. You might have a sharp bend coming up, that type of thing. So you're right there. You're right there. But as we were saying earlier, don't always trust your sat nav.
No, exactly. Not if you're in the mountains.
Trust the locals.
Exactly. Yeah. So also, sorry, I do have another tip that I thought of.
Yes,
Is
please.
it can get a bit lonely traveling
Mm.
sometimes. So one of my top tips is going on to Airbnb experiences.
Oh, okay.
Because that's a really great way of meeting people. So when I was in Granada, I got a bit, started to feel a bit lonely. So I went on Airbnb experiences, and I went on a couple of hikes. So one was a night hike, a lovely German lady, and she just like gives people like a head torch, and we go and we all went off and looked at these stars, and it was mainly like couples or single solo travelers, and you'll be surprised about the amount of women who
Yeah.
were out there traveling on their own.
Yeah.
So it was a fantastic way of getting to meet people. And there's a place in Spain as well around that area where you can go across Tibetan bridges.
Oh, wow.
At heights, but I did it anyway. I did it at night, and we were climbing all these waterfalls, and it was a really like bonding experience, and it's fantastic. So that's a great way of getting to meet people in a safe environment as well.
Yes. I've not heard of that one. Airbnb experiences. So that's a great tip. Yeah. And
Yeah.
all of these links, all this information, we'll put all of this in the show notes for people to be able to click on the links and find these things out for themselves as well. Well, it's been fantastic chat. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you. It's been amazing, and good luck with all your future trips, especially the Amsterdam one going down to Spain, wasn't it? Did you say
It's Italy? Yeah,
Italy?
So, yeah.
Want to hear about that once you do that as well. So thank you so much.
Yes, you're very welcome. Thank you so much. I'm sure we could probably do a few more episodes.
I think we actually could. Yes. So thank you, Rowena.
Thank you. You take care.
And that concludes this episode of Wanderlust Diaries, celebrating the fearless spirit of solo female travellers who are 40 and beyond. I hope you found inspiration, valuable insights, and a renewed sense of wanderlust. Thank you to all our incredible listeners who have joined us on this exciting journey. Remember, age should never stop your quest for adventure, because the world is waiting for you to explore its wonders. And don't forget to join our community on social media to connect with fellow travellers, and subscribe and review us on your favourite podcast platform. All links are in the show notes. Keep dreaming, keep exploring, and stay fearless. Until next time, this is Terry Reynolds signing off from Wanderlust Diaries. Psst, don't keep me a secret. Please tell your friends and fellow travellers.